Hey, you guys! Click, 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 click. Kisses, misses, bougie kiss, bougie kiss. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. I am here once again with Melissa.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to be talking again. I know a lot of you guys liked a lot of the insight that she had a few weeks ago, especially with her background in her psychology and just, the balanced perspective that you have on things. So thank you so much for recording with me again. I am so looking forward to this episode.
Me too. It's so nice to be in your energy again. Nice to
We
chat.
Definitely bounce off of each other very well. I love it.
Yeah, I think so.
So, I want to start off with this because when you mentioned this to me last week, this is the thing that stuck out in my brain so much. Immunity to certain verbiage and certain wording in this community, such as self-concept, mental diet. I will say personally, for me personally, I stopped identifying with the term mental diet a long time ago.
Yeah, so did I actually. Yeah.
I was like, is it just me? I don't know why. I've noticed that verbiage is it's a really big thing for a lot of people. It is a really big thing because I think that the concept of it to them seems so much bigger than what it is, based off of how, that towering word that governs it.
Yeah. So, bigger or smaller.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, my self-concept is fine, but I'm still not manifesting my thing. It's like, yeah, then your self-concept is not fine. You're making it too small.
Exactly, because you can't have one or the other. You can't. That's pretty much double-mindedness.
Exactly.
It's saying oh, my self-concept is perfect, but the manifestation is still not here. And I actually want to put a bookmark in that because I have something to say about that too. Because I kind of had a revelation last night, I guess you could call it, which I love, an epiphany, whatever you want to call it. But yes, I do feel like certain words, certain verbiage, either it stresses people out to a point where they feel like they don't understand what they're doing. I think that a lot of people, the concept of states like that, they're done.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, absolutely.
That scares a lot of people. That puts a knife in them. And you said, I personally think that when it comes to immunity, I think people are immune to the self-concept word. I think that is very much so losing its momentum in a sense. And also like we were just saying, mental diet. I've been checked out of use. I don't remember the last time I even said mental diet because I just can't with it. So
tell me why you don't like mental diet.
Okay. I think the word diet just irritates me in any context.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it makes me feel I don't know. I feel like if anything, shouldn't it be mental nourishment? I don't know, mental fulfillment. Or mental abundance. I don't know. Why is it diet? You know what I mean? And I kind of think that it aligns with, we'll get into the concept of diet culture too. We are going to talk about that today, you guys. But I think that it kind of reminds me of, when you think of a diet, you think about cutting out all the things that you like.
Yeah.
When you think about a diet, you think about cutting out all the things that are good. So I became immune to the word mental diet because of that. It just didn't feel natural. It didn't feel good. It felt like I was depriving myself of something. You know what I mean? As if negative thoughts are yummy or tasty or some shit. It was just I don't know. It didn't sit with me anymore. So I threw that out a long, long time ago because I was just nah.
Yeah, I threw that out a long time ago too, because it's also focused just on the mental aspect of it, and it doesn't go into the feelings of it. And if we're not going into the feelings of our manifestation, we're not going to get long-lasting movement.
Very true. Very, very true. Exactly. And it is very, I don't know, it just, in a sense, to me, I guess it sounds limiting.
Yeah.
Just the way that it is, it just sounds limiting. It sounds boring. And I don't want to consider what I'm focusing on as a diet of any sort. Like, if anything, it's kind of the reverse of a diet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's expansion, it's growth, it's
freedom.
Yes, it's liberation, it's freedom. So, you know, it just wasn't working for me. So I don't think I've said that in a video in over 9 months.
Yeah.
Probably. But I was going to ask you, why do you think people get immune to certain words and certain verbiage?
Yeah, I think they think once they get the hang of it once, that they've got it. It's like riding a bike. They've got it now, but it's not like that. This is something, it's like forgiveness. Forgiveness is something you have to keep coming back to maintain your forgiven state. It's not easy to just forgive somebody and then not have those feelings come back up again. Yeah. It's a practice. It's something that we keep working on. And with self-concept, we're dealing with such deep-rooted beliefs about ourselves that to think that you've shifted your beliefs about yourself in one writing exercise and now you've got your self-concept on point is just not realistic. It's not how the mind works. We have deep neural pathways that get used over and over again for the things that we think about most. Yes. And if we've had one self-concept for our whole entire life, and then we try to get into another self-concept, we're going to have to keep bringing ourselves to the new one, keep going. It's like going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
One workout is not going to get you to where you want to get to. It's about consistency, going, multiple times a week. Yeah.
So true. Like, I love the way that you explained that, because I use a gym analogy in my own mind all the time. All the time. And, even sometimes, this is so funny. I've never actually said this out loud on my channel. I thought about it, but I haven't gotten a chance to say it in a video. I use examples such as okay, I'll give an example of my braces, right? Braces shift your teeth at a very slow yet fast pace. It is I could look at my teeth tomorrow and they look completely different from how they looked 2 days ago. And it's subtle, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's a continuous shift. So
yes.
I feel like when people look at their 3D and they're I'm not seeing anything different, they're not noticing that subtle change could be going on in the background. And also it's internal. The shift comes from the perspective. The shift comes from the way that you are choosing to view what is happening to you. Everybody is they're so gung-ho for the 3D validation. The 3D validation is where I get to know if I'm doing something right. The 3D validation is where I get to know that this is working. You know that it's working based off of who you're being, based off of who you are telling yourself that you are. You always use yourself as the measurement tool.
Yes, exactly.
Never anything else. Never anybody else, because we already know everything's connected and nothing is outside of you anyway.
Yeah.
So needing 3D validation when it's going to happen once you change is kind of redundant.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So how do you assess a client's self-concept? How do you get to know where they're at in their self-concept?
It's fairly easy. Because when I'm listening to them speak, and you can see the counteractive things, and of course it's just they're unconscious about it. It's just I really know if you're explaining your circumstances and you're explaining your practice of the law as if you're doing something to get something.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's it's almost like you're convincing yourself that you're an actor and you're where's my Oscar?
Yeah.
I've been being this way. Why isn't it here? I'm being this way. Why isn't it working? And you're literally bypassing the fact that is still the state that you're in. You're still taking up life in a state of life is happening to me, not from me.
Yeah. Yeah. Another huge tell is when they start talking about the other person way more than they talk about themselves. I mean, that's just an obvious one where they feel when they're kind of stuck in that victim mentality where they feel like the world is doing something to them and they can't see that. So that's self-concept. Yeah.
No, very much so just I guess, viewing circumstances as sabotage, which is like, it's normal. It's normal because when you're starting out, like, again, this is like new. This is new. So none of this is to be, you know, judgmental or shameful. It's just an observation. Like, it's even observations that I've had to, you know, I look at myself from back when I was first starting the law, and I was doing great, but I'm like, oh, you could have been doing better here. But you didn't have that awareness yet. You weren't aware enough to realize, okay, course correction is needed here. I was still doing shit and getting everything I wanted, sure. But you know what I'm saying? Now, I feel so much more stable in myself. You know what I mean? I feel so much more like just secure in my personhood because I'm really, really like understanding, okay, everything is literally me. Like that is like the important part. So yeah, I feel like you said, whenever they're talking about the other person so much and, you know, they did this to me, and, you know.
Oh yeah. Then they said this, then they did that. It's like, whoa. I mean, yeah, totally not getting it. So how do you assess a person's states? How do you teach your clients about states?
It differs. It really differs because everybody is going to understand the concept of states differently. I feel like in this community, that is like, it's such a quicksand spot for people. Like that, again, back to the verbiage thing. That word sends people into a frenzy. It really, really, really does. Like, obviously your self-concept and your state go hand in hand. Yeah. Obviously. So again, it's quite easy to assess, like, you know, okay, you're obviously in a state of, I don't have it, it's not working. Blah, blah, blah. There's some people I talk to and they're right there. Like there's been many clients that I have had and I'm like, you are so much farther than you even think you are.
Yes. Yeah. That happens a lot.
Because you're underestimating your own power. And you're still kind of plugged into this 3D. Yeah. You know what 100%. I mean? So very easy to assess self-concept, very easy to assess states.
You know what's cool? Oh, what were you going to say?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, so in psychology now, we are figuring out that states, did I say this in our last video, how states are an actual thing in psychology now. And we're learning about the nervous system and how the nervous system has certain states. And it's mirroring what Neville was talking about around states. And so the psychology kind of slogan catchphrase thing now is story follows state. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So even in psychology, you can go to your psychologist and they'll be able to talk to you about your state. So it's really become a more large scale thing.
In a psychology sense, you're saying that states is in conjunction with like your nervous system, like how whether you're calm, whether you're anxious, whether you're stable, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So we have three main states of our nervous system. We have a calm state, we have an anxious state, fight or flight, and we have a frozen kind of down depressed state. And it runs along our spine. So up at the top of our spine is where the calm state is. In the middle of our spine, chest area, is where the anxious state is. And down at the base of our spine is where that down depressed, frozen state is.
I actually heard that a few days ago. I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw a video where they were talking about how our body stores a lot of our emotion in our spine.
Yes.
Because like when you're anxious and you're defensive, your body goes into like protection mode.
Yep.
And it wants to uphold you. And I was like, yeah, like, that's so real. And I watch a woman on TikTok. Her name is Kira Lynn Burnett. And she talks about how relaxing and softening your body is the first thing you need to do before you even try to do anything else. Like I like the way that she describes it because she talks about, you know, softening your body and getting yourself to that relaxed state of being is letting an old story die, because you're releasing like that defensive, you know, that defensive state of being, that defensive like softening your body, breathing, calming down. Like, it will literally set you light years ahead, versus if you try to like think and do stuff and take actions from this frazzled state.
100%. The only problem with that is trying to get someone to calm down in that state is pretty difficult, because they're not feeling safe. And like you said, it's a defensive state. So we have to show the body it's safe, not tell the body. Like, we can't be like, you're safe now, come on, like, let's get calm. We have to actually interact with the parts. We have to hear from the parts inside of us that are telling us we're not safe. And it could be totally irrational, totally illogical. That's fine. But to have those parts being heard by us, and for us to validate those parts and be like, that makes a lot of sense why you'd feel that way. Like, it's not real. You're not saying like that's real. You're just saying like, it makes so much sense you feel that way.
Yes.
You've been through this, you've been through that, you've been through this. Of course you would feel triggered in this situation. And that lets the body say like, oh,
I totally agree.
Okay, I'm safe. I can do this.
Agree. That's what I do. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Step one is like, I tell people all the time, first of all, we don't suppress emotions here. Ever. Like, that's just not ever going to be something that I teach. That is never going to be something that I tell people. I tell people all the time, first of all, if you need to cry, please do it.
Yes.
Please. Like,
and that's like the mental diet. It's totally suppressing emotions on the mental diet.
Honestly, I think maybe that's also another reason why I don't like it, because I feel like it kind of can like be a pipeline to toxic positivity.
Yes, 100%. Agreed.
But I completely understand. Like, yes, I validate my emotions all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. I will never give myself flack for feeling a thing. Like, it's just, it's not going to happen. Because you cannot nurture yourself that way. Like, you cannot carry yourself through life being your own personal punching bag. Like, it's not healthy. Like, it's not going to happen. So, but she does get like more in depth about things like that. But I do love that concept of just that being your first step to just at least just, you know what I mean? Because when you remember, it's just an old story. We're the ones that jump back into that pattern of, it's out to sabotage me. It's coming against me. And that's where all of that is conjuring itself up from. Like, that's the story that your body is used to and responding to. Quite obviously. So, but I definitely like agree with that, like 100%. And I love her outlook on it, because I think in this community, sometimes people are so addicted to doing. We have to do this. We have to do that. Like, I got to do this. I got to do that. It's about being. I think I said this in our previous video. It's about being.
Yes.
It's all about being. And even when you are hurt, even when you are triggered. And I also think that we need to like reformulate how we look at triggers too. Like, I think that everyone views triggers as a failure or some type of immense downfall, when a trigger can literally just show you what you're working on, where you might need to give more attention to. Like, it's okay. It's not a moral failing to be triggered. Like,
exactly.
It's not a problem.
So another fun fact is it's called the vagus nerve that runs down our spine. And that vagus nerve hits every kind of major artery, like our lungs, our heart, our kidneys, our stomach, even like every part of our body from neck down to base of the spine.
Right.
And where that vagus nerve is used most, which state you're in most often, is where that nerve tones up like a muscle. So when you're triggered, it's like, no wonder you're triggered. Your vagus nerve has been toned up in that area. And what we have to do is tone the vagus nerve up top higher in this calmer state. And not judge ourselves for being in a lower activation. That lower activation is probably just a practiced activation that we have to unpractice.
Yes. And you know, another thing she says is, you know, she doesn't freak out when she's in a lower energy or not okay. I love this outlook. She kind of says like, okay, you know what? You're hanging out with me today because I still have things to do. Like, I'm not going to let you overpower me, but I know that I don't have to view this as a threat because the lower energies are going to happen. Like, there are going to be days where you don't feel good, and that is okay. And instead of seeing that again as a failure or I'm doing something wrong, it could actually really be catapulting you into more expansion. Like, I cannot tell you how many bad days I've had that have set me so much farther ahead because just allowing myself to feel and allowing myself to have a moment naturally guided me to more expansion, where I'm sitting down by myself and I'm allowing myself to meditate and I think and I get ideas, and those ideas set me forward. I have revelations, I have epiphanies, just because I'm allowing myself to feel what I'm feeling in that moment. I'm not invalidating it. I'm not making myself feel a certain type of way about it. I'm not telling myself that I'm failing. I'm just letting it be, and I'm working myself through it. There have been so many times where I have honestly propelled light years ahead, I feel like, after having a bad day or having an off moment. And for me, like, knowing that and having that experience in my arsenal, it makes it like so much less scary. You know?
It's always darkest before the dawn.
Absolutely. So just like even reshaping how we feel about triggers, how we feel about not being in higher energies is beneficial. Like, I feel like it's crucial. I really feel like sometimes I knew that this was a misconception for me a long time ago. I was like, if I'm not happy, I'm not doing it
right. Yeah, that's a Abraham Hicks thing.
It's
maybe.
It's funny that you said that. I kind of agree. What makes you say that? What makes you say that that's like a...
Well, I love Abraham Hicks. Don't get me wrong. There's so much valuable information by Abraham Hicks. So there's that. But Abraham Hicks is always talking about getting your vibration up to a certain point and vibrating at the same place as your inner being. And that's where you're in the receptive mode. And so it can be easy to shame and blame yourself when you're not in the receptive mode, when you're not high vibrating.
Definitely. Like, and that's kind of like, that's why I don't really resonate with that word vibration either. Like, because I feel like it's so vague, like, and it just doesn't really make that much sense to me because it's not tangible, applicable information.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those immunity words where we're just like, oh yeah, vibration, self-concept, states, whatever. Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing it right. Why aren't I manifesting my thing?
But I agree. I love Abraham. I do. I like I'm the kind of person, I can find value in infinite perspectives. Like, if you have a perspective, I want to hear it. Yeah. Even if I don't agree personally with everything you're saying, I'm just so addicted to like expansion and learning and evolving that I want to hear what you have to say. And I will take what I want and I will leave the rest. Like, even in the beginning of my journey, I always reference the beginning of my journey because it was just so like fun and exciting for me. And I was just like a sponge. And I was just always just looking for the next point of view, looking for the next insight, because even if it was something that I didn't agree with, it was intriguing to me because I now understood the concept of infinite realities and infinite intelligence. So it was just so cool to me to be like, wow, look at how that's true in your reality, but somebody else has a completely different experience. You know?
I love that.
I agree. I like Abraham. I take what I like from her and I leave the rest, but I do think that is kind of like along the lines of like, you know, feel good. I don't really like that. I don't know. It's it's just not my jam.
It just can get a little too close to toxic positivity, which just pads over feelings, and it'll get you your manifestation. Absolutely. Staying in a high vibration, staying happy all the time, staying on a mental diet. These things will get you your manifestation, but you won't be able to keep it because that's not sustainable. It's like doing a crash diet a crash diet is never going to give you sustainable weight loss.
Do you want to get into that?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's get into that. Okay, y'all. We really wanted to talk about intuitive eating.
Yes.
I don't know how many of you guys know this because I have not talked about it in depth on this channel yet. You know, I have made a few videos about appearance changes and weight loss, but if you guys have watched any of those videos, I talk about how I don't diet. I talk about how I do not diet at all, and I will never do it again a day in my life because it was literally the worst. And it's hilarious when I tell people. I don't talk about my weight loss too often because it's just not that important. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like focusing on like the concept of numbers and just dumb stuff. What's important to me is literally my overall wellness. And the fact that I feel good and that I have a healthy relationship with my body, movement, the gym, and food. That's what's important to me. So numbers, I could really care less about. But it's funny to me whenever I tell people that I lost 70 pounds and I don't diet, they look at me like I'm crazy. They look at me like I'm an alien. And I'm like, yeah. You know, me and my best friend, we often talk about this a lot because she is plus size as well. And she is an avid gym goer like me. And sometimes she kind of runs into people who have this narrative in their head, like, oh, like, look at you, like, you're going to the gym, like, you about to change your life. Yeah, I'm here for like my overall wellness. I'm not on a weight loss journey. I'm not on a, what are they saying, like, lately, unbig your back journey or whatever they call it. Like, I cannot stand that. Like, what? I'm here for literally wellness. But it's funny, it's hilarious. People always kind of make that assumption that if you're in the gym, it has to be to lose weight. And if I was going to the gym to lose weight, I'm telling y'all right now, I would not have been going to the gym consistently for 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's if I was on a weight loss journey, this would have been done a long time. I might have made it 2-3 months in and been done.
Yeah.
And not have gone and just not have cared. And it's so funny to me because, you know, sometimes I come across posts on Instagram and TikTok, and, you know, it's always like, if you don't feel like going to the gym today, you got to get up and you got to get yourself to the gym. I don't even have days like that anymore. I'm like, y'all don't feel like going to the gym? I'm always down for the gym. I'm always in the mood for the gym. And that's because my perspective of it has changed. Like, anytime I'm going to the gym, I want to be there. When I don't want to go to the gym, I'm not going. I'm not going to force myself to go to the gym when I don't feel like it. But when I'm going, it's because I feel like it. Like, I don't have those moments, oh, I'll go. No. And again, if I was focused on weight loss, I probably would have those moments.
Absolutely. So what shifted for you?
You know, it was like some point in 2021, I just wanted my life back. I don't get me wrong, at my highest weight, I was absolutely stunning, of course. I mean, I had like so many SPs, even at my highest weight, I had like hella SPs, hella people. So it was never anything that was rooted in dislike for myself. What it really was is I really wanted to create peace with myself. I don't feel like I was taking care of myself the way that I deserved it. I don't think I had a healthy, balanced relationship with food. Binging was like a very big thing for me. And it was kind of consistent. And I went into working out with that being my main focus. My main focus was overcoming my binge eating disorder. And I knew that in order to do that, I could not diet.
Yeah.
I could not buy into diet culture. Absolutely not. Like, there was just no way. And by this point in time, I loved myself enough to know that that wasn't something that I was going to let myself do anyway. Yeah. So it catapulted me into using exercise as a way to ground myself and reward myself versus punish myself. Because my whole life, I always talk about how I didn't like the gym because I was viewing it as a place I had to go as an apology for what I look like.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Like, I'm here because I have to fix this.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, nobody should be in the gym to try to adhere to some type of societal standard. And it's polarizing for me, because I'm like, if more people understood this and this is what we taught, everyone would like movement. Everybody would be enjoying movement.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing I do have to say is when I first became an intuitive eater, and I was coming into intuitive eating from also being a binge eater. And since being an intuitive eater, that's stopped, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But my relationship with the gym was super triggering. So it took me about 3 years of being an intuitive eater before I could go back to the gym and have it be a healthy relationship. Yes. So I do want to encourage people. This is the intuitive eating book. If you go this route, you might have various hang-ups around the gym. That's normal. That's okay. True, there's definitely other ways to gently move your body, to feel good about yourself. You can walk your dog. You can literally do nothing, actually. Yes. If that's what you're feeling, then you need to like go inward. And that's the thing about intuitive eating. It's about listening to the inner voice of what you should be doing. Yeah. Precisely. Eating, what you should, how you should be moving. Yes. Whereas diet culture and our society teaches us that we should listen to the external world for how much food we should eat and what we should do for exercise. It's not like that. We have that internal guidance. And I think it's really important that we listen to it. Very true. And that was one of the first things, like when I was first easing myself back into going to the gym, I made it a deliberate point. I was like, I am not going to kill myself in here. Like, it's not going to happen. I am not about to walk in here and throw myself around and abuse myself for like the sake of a result. Like, yeah, like, that's seriously. If I am tired and I am at my limit, I am leaving. Like, I don't care if it's 30 minutes, an hour, 15 minutes. If my body says no that day, I'm walking out. Exactly. Like, it's that simple. So like I said, I've been going to the gym for almost 2 years. I gradually have worked myself up to the level of fitness that I'm at now. You know what I mean? Like, I did not go in the gym and just start swinging and la, 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 la. No, like I did what felt right. And then I started exploring. I did what felt right. And I was just patient with myself. You know, I do the gym in whatever way that feels good to me. I don't pay attention to nothing anybody else is doing. That's like a question I get asked a lot. I document my gym journey on Instagram and TikTok. And a lot of people like love that, because I feel like that kind of visibility is needed, especially when it's not centered around weight loss. And I make that completely evident to people because I always tell people this is a fitness journey, not a weight loss journey. I am not doing this to lose weight. Losing weight just so happens to be a side effect of what I'm doing. Yeah, absolutely. It is not the overall important factor. Like, it's not something like I'm not getting on the scale every day. Like, no, I don't need it. You know what I mean? I go based on how I'm feeling. Everything is centered around how I'm feeling. Yeah. And I lost weight when I started intuitively eating too. I've lost weight on intuitive eating. I've gained weight on intuitive eating because our body has what's called a set point weight. And it's like a target range where it's going to fluctuate in different seasons of our life. And that has to be okay. We have to get to a point where we don't care what society tells us our body should look like anymore, and allow our body to be what it's supposed to be. It's like we come into this world with a set shoe size, a set height. Our weight is generally set like that too. And so we just need to honor that weight, find that set point, get to that set point, and allow for it to fluctuate 20, 30, 40 pounds, whatever it's going to fluctuate, right? Yes. But not even paying attention to the pounds, because that's really missing the point. Really, the point is like, how are you feeling in your body? Are you feeling healthy? Are you feeling good? when you're eating, does it feel good? Is it satisfying? Are you leaving too full, not full enough? These are the things, these are the principles of intuitive eating that if anyone out there is listening, they want to get into it, these are the principles that you're going to need to tune into.
Absolutely. Absolutely 100% true. Like it could not be more true than that. It is so weird how society has like these presets and like these defaults, and like we're just all supposed to adhere. Like it's so weird. It is so weird how it's like set up. Like every person of every ethnicity and every background is supposed to look the same, be the same size. Like there are so many things that factor into our makeup and how we are, like our literal genetics, like our DNA. It's everybody is different. Like it's so hilarious to me when like you start to see through the facade of diet culture and you're like, y'all lied. Y'all are making these lies up so that people can continue to spend billions of dollars a year to get to a certain standard so that they can stop hating themselves. And then the gag is they're not going to stop hating themselves, because even if you lose weight, if you hate yourself now and you think that you can hate yourself into a version that you can love, you are sadly mistaken. If you lose 30 pounds, and you lose that 30 pounds, and when you tell yourself, when I lose that 30 pounds, I'm going to love myself, all that's going to happen is you're going to find something else about yourself that you need to fix. And it's going to continue, and it's going to be an endless spiral. And these people, they profit off of that. They profit off of you buying these dumbass drinks, these smoothies, these teas, these detox drinks that just make you go to the bathroom, which like, what? You don't need to clean your colon. Your colon cleans itself. Like, what is this? Like,
yes.
Just like all this dumb stuff, all of these scams, they're just selling you guys a bunch of laxatives and labeling it as a weight loss thing when, you're going to lose 5 pounds and then gain it back in 2 weeks because you just lost a bunch of water weight.
Yeah, exactly. I can personally vouch for that. You know, I lost weight when I started becoming an intuitive eater. I lost all the weight, but I still had these residual feelings from before I became an intuitive eater that I hadn't done the underlying work, the deeper inner work of body acceptance, that it didn't matter how low my weight went, I didn't feel better. And it wasn't until I started to understand that my value and worth had nothing to do with my body size and had nothing to do with the messages that I was raised with. And that was the big thing. It was in my family. It was with my mom, my grandma, my aunts and uncles, this huge infiltration of influence of you should be thin and always being talked about at every family gathering and that kind of thing. It's when I realized it went so much deeper than that. And that's when I healed that. It now doesn't matter what weight I'm at. I'm good either way.
Absolutely. And that's what I had to like also tell myself. Like, I have never honestly berated myself at any size. Like I've always been a plus size girl. From the time that I was young, I was chunky. And I think when I was like really young, I might have been smaller. And then once I got to like 3rd, 4th grade, that's when I started getting kind of chunky. You know what I mean? And, you know, back then it was kind of like, I never even really knew that I was deemed not pretty or not the standard until I got outside of my home. You know what I mean? Because my family never made it seem like anything was wrong with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was never like now there were points in times in my teenage years where, you know, some type of shift with the weight happened. And, you know, sometimes you get people saying things, and that's when I very much so became into like fat liberation. And I'm a firecracker. So I was like pushing back on my family. But you know, they were coming from a place of concern, but I had to like explain it to them, you know what I mean? In a way that they could like be able to digest it. Because I don't even come from a small family as it is, but I know that it was centered around, you know, eating habits and them caring. But I was always like, y'all don't understand that that's like a veil of fat phobia. Like, to be really honest with you, like, you know, like I'm trying to like explain this to you, but you know, I have always been larger. And when I was a teenager, you know, that's really usually a tough time for a lot of people, especially girls. That's really when it was like not good. You know, that was when it started to be like, oh my gosh, why don't I look like Ariana Grande? And I started, and like, even when I think back on that, I kind of like laugh, because I'm like, not the world had you comparing yourself to a small, skinny, like white girl. Like, you're like, you know what I mean? Like, because that's always been the standard of beauty. I, as like a plus size Black woman, and looking at somebody like that and upset that I don't look that like,
yeah, exactly.
It's not making sense. And then at some point in my teenage years, I was just so done. Like, I was like, this is stupid. That I cannot be starving myself. I developed like an ED when I was about like 13 through 15. That was not fun, you know. And I got so sick of it, because I was like, I don't even feel like I'm alive right now.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst.
It is
the absolute freaking worst.
And it's just obsession.
So stupid. Yeah, it was literally like an obsession, and it was so sick and twisted. And something like went off in my brain. Like, something was just like, I cannot let you continue to live your life like this. Like, this is not it for you. This is not how it's supposed to be. And I just really got addicted to being my own standard of beauty. And then, you know, eventually like Instagram came along, and I started seeing beautiful plus size women who looked just like me, who had brown skin, who were hyper feminine, and they were wearing outfits, and they had their nails done, and they had like all and I was like, oh my God, like, it was just like, and it inspired me to like start doing the same. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm really a baddie. Like, this is crazy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Love that hyper feminine. I love that.
I am extremely hyper feminine.
That's amazing.
It's always how I've been. It's always how I will be. It is literally, I attached to my spirit. I don't know how to be any other way. Like, I will always be like eyelashes, long nail. Like, it's just who I am. You know what I mean? It's attached to me. Like, it's intertwined with my spirit. But I love my hyper femininity. I love that part of me, because it's so much fun.
It is fun.
So much fun.
I love it about you too.
Thank you. Like, I really do like appreciate that. I feel very seen with the Barbie movie coming out, you know? I felt very seen in that. I was like, oh yeah. Like, this is like hyper feminine paradise right here.
Yes. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, just to like wrap that point up. I never hated myself. I was not in like recent years, you know what I mean? Like, when I had that speed bump when I was younger, but ever since I found that for myself, I've just been in love with myself like ever since. You know what I'm saying? It's not to say that I don't have off days, but they're just few and far between at this point. And if somebody out there has off days, and you have days where you don't feel good about your body, that is like the most okay thing in the world. Like, that is literally so okay. Like, it is okay to not be completely in love with yourself at all times. Like, again, not a moral failing. And that's all a part of this too, is being gentle with yourself, and like being kind with yourself, and allowing yourself to have those ebbs and flows as a human does. Because that's fine. And you're still worthy. Like, your worthiness isn't attached to how you feel about yourself this day and how you feel about yourself the next day. Like, you're always worthy. Like, there's nothing that you can do to earn or lose worthiness.
Yes.
You know?
And this is the key. This is the key to intuitive eating. This is the key to self-concept.
Yeah.
And if people can get their heads around this and be honest about if they can get their heads around it, and if they can't, get help, because you can be helped to get to this point where you are worthy no matter what. If you have this fundamental worthiness, no matter what, intuitive eating comes easy. Manifesting comes easy.
Yes.
It's just that worthiness piece. And so everybody has their different stories from childhood or whenever adulthood too. that takes away from what we deem to be worthy. But it's about healing those wounds so that we can come back to a place of wholeness and worthiness and manifest the life of our dreams and have food freedom.
Yes, absolutely. I love that term, food freedom, because that's exactly how I feel.
Yes.
That is exactly how I feel. Food freedom. I am not restricting myself.
Yeah.
I don't believe in dieting. And, you know, here's the thing, like, going back to how, you know, we both agree that the mental diet concept, you know, that word, it's just because I don't believe in dieting myself in any area of my life. Like, I'm not dieting myself in love. I'm not dieting myself when it comes to my manifestations. I'm not dieting when it comes to food. I'm not dieting anything. I'm not dieting me. Like, don't diet me, feed me, give it. Give it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes. An
me.
abundance mentality.
Yes.
I love that
mentality. Like, because it's just, there's no limit to how good it can get. There's no limit to how good it can get for you. And I'm saying that as a person who has been so down. You know, I think about who I was when I was younger, and I'm like, I don't even know that girl anymore. Like, I really literally became her superhero.
Aww.
And because it's crazy. Like, it's so hard for me to even like connect with, you know?
Yeah.
But that's also, that ties in the states too. Like, that was a state of myself that it wasn't really me. Like you're really essentially like, the old version of you is a facade, because it's a bunch of conditioning that was put onto you by the world. And then you were gaslit into thinking it was your own identity. And you just carry it with you. You know
totally.
what I mean?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So I wanted to kind of touch a little bit on consciousness.
Yes.
Just like the concept of consciousness, because like it has just been like really exciting me. I feel like at points in time in my manifesting journey, you know, we all have our little hyperfixations, human nature. We get like addicted to this little part or this little part. But really understanding and like being able to digest the concept of consciousness has just been like it makes everything click. It really makes everything click. I have been reading a book. The book is called The World is a Mirror, The World is a Mirror by Nada Amari. And if y'all want to check it out, it's on Amazon. And I think she has a PDF on her Instagram, which is at the God State, right? And she talks about how, like, you know, I have talked about this in the past too. Like, I've talked about this with clients and everything, you know, perspective, awareness, consciousness is everything. Is everything, because we are the ones that are consistently assigning a meaning to something, and we're the human vessel. So we're literally the only thing that can give anything life. Like, nothing can take life outside of our perspective of it. Even if it's something that we're not necessarily in love with. Like, I don't ever want to make anyone convince themselves to be in love with a circumstance that they don't like, because I'm never going to tell you, you got to like something that you're presented with if you don't like it. But, you know, just like how I was talking about going neutral a few weeks back, like that segues into this too, because when you can get yourself to a place of neutrality and you can get yourself to understand this is all consciousness, everything is reflecting back to me who I am being. It's like the world just like becomes such oyster is an understatement. Like, I honestly feel like, because revelation. It's like crazy. It's so crazy how like everything takes life through our awareness. I always say this whenever I'm talking to clients. I use my analogies. And I always have an analogy. I always use the analogy of, you know, that old saying, if a tree fell in a forest and no one was around to hear it, did it make a sound?
Yeah. And
the general consensus is no, because no one perceived it. So no one can confirm that it took place. Like, because there was no human consciousness around to say, yes, that tree fell, and yes, it made a sound. Who knows that it did?
Yeah. There's no one to like absorb the sound waves.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So it's like, you know, where was the life source that could confirm that for you? You know what I mean? Like, So I always use that as an example about consciousness and about how consciousness is literally anything, because I have taken circumstances that were seemingly negative and seemingly bad. And it's not that I tried to take the circumstance and say, oh, you don't exist and you're not there. I took the circumstance and just gave it new meaning. Because me personally, I don't want to fear anything in my reality, because I know that fear is just faith and of the undesired. Fear is just faith that something that I don't want is going to take place. So it's pointless. So what what I do is I just look at a circumstance, and if it's annoying me, I assign it a different meaning. I just say, well, this means that this outcome is going to happen. Because again, the law is perfect. Your subconscious is going to do its job every time. I cannot tell you how much abundance has come from me just doing that, to the point where I don't even like, because we get so convinced, again, when it comes to circumstances, we think, oh, I got to do something. I got to do something. Now I got to fix this. Now I got to say 500 million affirmations. And it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you can be present enough with yourself, which I think that's the thing that people struggle with, is being present with themselves in the moments when they are triggered, because they just feel like, uh-oh, flight or flight, gotta go. If you can be present with yourself and ground yourself and remind yourself in that moment, conscious creation, that is everything.
Yes.
That is everything, because everything is simply just your awareness. It's just your awareness of it. That's all it can be. That's all it has to be.
Yes, 100%. That's what Neville talks about consciousness being the creator. And when we think of like, what is God? God is the creator. And so our consciousness is God, because our consciousness creates. And so we have that creative power, the same as God does. And so that's where he gets to, we are God. And that I can get on board with. Like, prior to reading it through how Neville explained it, I never could have gotten on board with I'm God.
Yeah.
But the way Neville fleshes it out and explains consciousness and creativeness and God, it all makes so much sense. It's like, yes, I do actually believe I am God.
Yes. And because, well, like, here's the, like, you're the only form of consciousness that you can even 100% confirm is real.
Exactly.
Because you're never going to live life in my skin. I'm never going to live life in your skin. We're just going to live our whole lives observing each other's existence. But we're never going to know what it's like to be in the body and be in the state of consciousness of, you know, I'm you, you're me. I can confirm that I'm real. You can confirm that you're real. But we can't really confirm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're already going to be living life through your own consciousness anyway, you have to be able to understand the validity in that and understand the power in that, because there's never going to be somebody else that's outside of you that can jump into you to force you to get that. You know what I mean? To understand and digest that. Nobody's going to be able to jump into you and force you, like, understand the law now. Like, your consciousness literally has to go towards that, has to veer towards that lane.
So agreed. I love consciousness. Yes. Any kind of discussion around it.
I do
so
too.
Good.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like I don't hear that term enough.
True. That is definitely not a term that's super used in the Neville community and the law of assumption community. Consciousness, and how important it is, and how that is really the foundation. Where we're putting our consciousness is what we're creating. Like, that's how we can tell our future.
So it's like, this is why I'm just so in love with this law, because like, you just never stop evolving. Like, you never stop absorbing, like, you never stop learning. You know what I mean? I never want to be that person who, okay, of course you want to know that, like, yes, I do have it figured out. Yes, I do know what I'm doing, but I want to hear more.
Yes.
I love how everything literally, like, is infinite. Like, it is literally infinite. So it's exciting to me. I feel like I'm seeing it a little bit more. I'm hearing it a little bit more. I need to start saying it a little bit more on my own my own channel. But it really is just like, wow, it takes it to like a whole nother level, I feel. But I also feel like maybe part of the reason why it is not used as much is because I know people can kind of shy away from Neville just because of the way that he speaks.
Totally. Yeah, he's a tough read.
Yeah, it's like he's kind of ye old English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
He's like very old, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a thing of it, but I want to hear people start talking about consciousness and awareness more.
Who's the person that I want to look this person up on Instagram, because I swear I've met this person, or not like met, but I've chatted with this person. It's called The God State.
Yes. Yep. The God State.
And she wrote a book?
Yes. I love it. And she has little blurbs all over her Instagram, like little inserts of, you know, quotes in the book and passages in the book.
Yeah.
And I found her one day, I think she like requested me or something, requested one of my pages. And I was just like, wow, what is this? And so I followed it, and I was just so in love with everything that she was saying. Everything. She simplifies it, but it's also very much so like, it is groundbreaking to me.
That is awesome. No, I'm sure I've talked with her before. She's awesome.
Love it so much. Like that has like just catapulted me into a point, like, because you know, in the book, she kind of talks about how like everything is just a story and just programming, which like we know. But there was one particular part in the book where she talks about money a little bit, and she says, you know, why do you feel bad when you go out and you spend a lot of money? It's because you have a story attached that if I spend a lot of money, I'm gonna go broke, or I have to worry, or I'm not gonna make ends meet. But that's just the story.
Yeah.
That's the story. And so she says, start telling yourself that when you spend money, you make money, and just start committing to that story. Just commit to that story. And when she kind of just said it like that, like it was just, I really honestly don't identify with the term resistance or anything. I don't think I have resistance around much shit, to be real, because I know we don't like the term delulu or delusional, but I'm just a bitch with no limits. Like I've been like that. Like I feel like I could manifest a dragon if I wanted to. Like, you know what I mean? But sometimes when you see somebody state something verbally, whether it's verbally, visually, whatever way, it like sticks in your brain, it's just hitting that sweet spot. I'm just like, I love this because it's so simply and eloquently explained.
Yes.
And I was like, this is the first book that I feel like I have picked up on manifestation in a while that I could actually point clients towards that they can wrap their minds around. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think a lot of books centered around the subconscious and manifestation, they're very like wordy and almost intimidating for the new reader.
But this one's good.
This one is.
How did you find it?
It's a quick. She requested me on some social media, and I was like, "Who's the God State?" And I had looked at her page, and I followed her, and then you know she just posts, like I said, she'll post passages, and when she started posting her passages, I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like I just love the way that she simply explained this whole entire concept. It's a very quick read. It's a very quick read. Like you could get that book done in like 1 to 2 days. Like that, like I said, I'm purposely trying to take my time with it because I don't want to be done. But I know that when I finish, I'm gonna read it again, like probably immediately. So, and it's a good point of reference. She breaks it down. You know, she talks about what to do when all hell breaks loose. And she talks about how to redirect your thoughts. And you know, she gives the example of, okay, you know how people say, it's hard for me to redirect my focus and redirect my thoughts. But if I say to you right now, okay, think of a red apple or think of a cloud. And I say, think of a red apple, think of a cloud, think of a red apple, think of a cloud. You're going back and forth between two states of consciousness, which is you observing the red apple and you observing the cloud. But it seems the thing is we don't have resistance to those two things, right? That's why she uses that as an example. Those are two very mundane things that we don't attach a meaning to. Yes. We don't have an emotional story attached to a red apple. We don't have an emotional story attached to a cloud. But that's what she's trying to get you to understand is everything is just concepts. Everything is just concepts. So if you can shift your focusness from a red apple to a cloud, you can shift your focusness from what you don't want to what you do.
Yes. I love that. So good.
I love it.
Yes.
Like, I'm like addicted. Like, I want more books like this. Like, I want more books on like awareness and like, you know, really consciousness. I do like Joseph Murphy.
Yeah, Joseph Murphy's good.
I think he's good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any recommendations? Like, what is like a book that you like, you know, whether it's Neville or whoever?
I only ever go to Neville, and I say to people, say to people, like, just try it. Like, just give it, just read a paragraph and let that paragraph hit you. Like, I know it's a dense read, so you're not going to be reading pages and pages of it. Mm-hmm. Open it up, take a paragraph, let it hit you. That's going to be enough.
I am a Neville listener. I will listen to Neville. Mm-hmm. I will listen to Neville. I love everything Neville has to say. I love everything Neville has to say. Like, I'm so intrigued. Mm-hmm. Like, he is so good. Especially, I honestly feel like when you are getting into, like, you know, reading manifestation content and like really digesting it, like, you kind of got to give yourself a minute.
Yes.
Like, you got to give
especially with Neville.
Second. Yes.
If people get the heads up, like, this is a tough read, he uses old English, like, it's not going to be easy. If people get that warning, I think that really helps them to dig into Neville and just just letting them know. Like, I tell my clients, like, just go really slowly with it. You don't have to overdo it. You can listen to the audiobook while you're following along in the actual book. That helps.
Yes. Because there's times where I've listened to Neville or I've read a Neville quote and I'll just sit on it for a second. I'll just sit on it for a second. And then I come back to it and I read it again and I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, I feel like that's how you have to take it. That's how you have to do it. But I am loving, like, the books. I love lectures. Yeah. I love, because it's so enriching. It's so, like, enriching and it's so insightful. And there's so much value in what is being said. But yeah, for sure. I think if you're going to give Neville a shot, y'all, give yourself a second. Permeate on it for a second.
I would recommend Googling No One to Change But Self by Neville Goddard online. You can just read it for free. Mm-hmm. It's a dense read. I also tell people, if you're triggered by the Bible, I'm sorry, there is Bible stuff in there, but it's not absolutely essential that you understand it. You can skip through it. Just get to where he gets into the how to manifest, because he's so spot on. He's got such an amazing handle on it. Definitely. Yeah.
I like his use of, like, the biblical. I like the way he ties it in.
Yeah, I think it can be very useful as well. But also, I come from, like, a background of, like, religious trauma and, like, intensive Christianity kind of.
Oh, me too.
Downloaded onto me.
Me too.
Yeah, so just kind of moving away from that way of being. The Bible stuff at first turned me off to Neville.
Okay, right.
And then I had to kind of rework my own stuff so that I could read Neville. And now it's the only book that I recommend on manifesting.
That's definitely fair. That's I have the same story. Like, I come from an extremely, like, Christian religious family and I don't identify with it.
Yeah.
I had to let it go. I actually have spent a lot of time this year deconstructing.
Yes, I love the deconstruction movement. It's so helpful. It's so helpful. Oh, I feel so heard.
Yes. No, like, because it's I could really get into a lot of that. It's very, very many elements that just don't make sense to me. And especially since, like, learning about the law, I feel like my relationship with spirituality and God, whatever that is to me, is different for everybody, has expanded so much, because the way that religion describes God is almost like conditional.
Yes.
It's very 100%. Conditional, but that is still man-made narrative. Like, all of that is man-made narrative. Yeah. And you know, it's strange. You know, it's very, very strange, because I see God as, like, again, a limitless source, a limitless energy, a limitless omnipotent power who knows no judgment and knows no harm and knows no, because if God is omnipotent, God is not feeling the things that we feel on a limited 3D level. So to take the 3D level narrative of like conditional love and hatred and indoctrination and reflect that onto God, I feel like that's blasphemous. But who am I?
We should do a video on deconstruction. That would be amazing.
Can we please? Like, I would actually love to have a dedicated video on that and talk about that, because it's been so real for me. And I completely agree with you. I'm not necessarily
write that down.
Yes, please. I'm not necessarily triggered by like biblical stuff, but you know, that's because I practice hoodoo. And that goes hand in hand, you know, with hoodoo. And so my relationship with some of the biblical stuff is a little more, you know, I'm not, because I understand the true interpretation, you know what I'm saying? I understand the true the meaning and intent behind it. To me, from, you know, what I practice in my standpoint, the Bible is a book of spells.
I like
the Bible
that.
Is a book of, which is hilarious. Again, in retrospect, it's so funny, right? It's so funny because they wouldn't want to believe, but it literally is. Well, words are spells. Let's start with that.
Yes.
Let's start with that. And the way that the Bible is formulated, it actually takes so many things from other religions and puts it in their own text and claims it as their own. It's pretty much just like an appropriation of a bunch of paganism.
That's so true.
Okay. So, you know, it's so funny, but yeah, that's really what I see the Bible is a tool to catapult you into greatness, not something to berate you, not something to harm you, or like, you know, even just like the concept of sin is, oh God, it's just so much, like just everything. It sends me. We
should save deconstruction. There is like so much we could do around deconstruction.
Yeah, we should do that. We should definitely do that. Like I let's do that. We can like really sink our teeth into that movie here. Like,
I think so. I think we really could.
Forever. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Melissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Talking to you. I enjoyed this conversation so thoroughly. If you guys have any questions or any specific topics that you guys want us to touch on, please comment them down below. DM me, reach out to me on Twitter, whatever.
Absolutely.
Let us know, because we will be more than happy to get into it. Like, as you can see, we like talking. So
yeah. Yes. So
please
bring in those questions for part 3. It'll be so much fun to answer you guys' questions and really get you guys involved in these videos.
Yes. All right, guys. You guys know that I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Bye.